Today's edition of the Eternal Insiders Podcast is set to feature two men who will be in the main event and the co-main event, respectively, for the upcoming Eternal 92 show in Sydney, New South Wales. First up, we have the man out of Dublin, Ireland, Stephen Costello, back in the country, looking to finally capture the welterweight championship once and for all when he takes on David Martinez, the former Eternal MMA two-time lightweight champion. Hot on the heels of that, we have freestyle MMA zone Sebastian Szalay, the man that recently ran the gauntlet in the Eternal MMA Featherweight Grand Prix. He captured the featherweight title. He'll be looking to defend that for the very first time when he takes on the Gold Coast own Taser Malone. So to recap that, top of the show, Stephen Costello up first. If you want to skip ahead, if your man is Sebastian Szalay, we'll have the timestamps linked below. You can skip ahead to that if you so wish. If not, if you want to hear all the talk, if you want to hear all the chatter from two men involved at the top of the card for this amazing Eternal 92 show, stick around, plenty to talk about.
First of all, introducing our challenger. Out of the blue corner. He's going to step in and he does. It's all over. Let's bring on the boom.
This is Eternal MMA.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another edition here on Eternal Insiders. We are being joined today by one of the men set to feature in the main event for Eternal 92 in Sydney, New South Wales. That card upcoming on February 8th when he takes on David Martinez for the Eternal MMA Welterweight Championship, all the way from Dublin, Ireland, for the second time, mind you, in just a few short months. Here to talk about that fight. First of all, Stephen Costello, welcome back to the country, man. Here to talk about that fight coming up. And what a whirlwind couple of months it's been, brother. First of all, how are things trending with you now that you're settling into, I believe you're now in Sydney? And what's it been like for the last couple of months, man? Because you were here to fight for a championship last time. That never materialised. You're back in the country now to get it done. How are things going with you in that time?
Yeah, all good. I've just been tipping away, trying to stay healthy, down in the gym, stay fit, no injuries, you know yourself. And settling in here well to Sydney. I arrived yesterday and I arrived 2 days ago, but yesterday it felt quite hot and I was very surprised. I was like, oh, Sydney's very hot. Then I found out it was the hottest day recorded all year. So I'm a little sunburned.
Bit of a change in the weather. I think we were speaking, last week. I think you said that the weather over in Ireland at that time was just taking a massive turn. So I've got to imagine it's quite the contrast coming from what I assume you were dealing with the colder weather over there and then coming down to the heat wave that is happening right now.
Yeah, well, I was back home. There were storms, blizzards. I had the fire on every evening back home, the family. And then I come over here and now I'm sunburned. So it's been a bit crazy.
What a contrast, man. What do you prefer?
I like the fires in the evening, the coziness. But then I like the sunshine in the day with the activities and stuff. So it's hard. I like to find the right balance of it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some videos on Instagram. You've been able to train a bit outside at least and get a bit of a sweat going. That must be enjoyable.
Yeah, really enjoying it. I was in a local outdoor park here yesterday morning getting a good sweat on. That was very nice. I haven't done that since last summer back in Ireland, so I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's mostly always indoors over in Ireland, I assume.
Yeah, staying warm.
Of course, brother, of course. Now, as we mentioned just in the opening of the pod, you were here late last year to obviously fight for the Eternal MMA Welterweight Championship. That fight never materialised due to a pretty severe weight-cutting issue and a weight miss by your opponent to be in Alden Bates. Just harking back to that time and your recollection of the events that unfolded there, this is obviously massively publicised. The emotions are running high. Just going back to those events that unfolded, what is your recollection of that sort of time frame and how things sort of came to not pass in terms of that fight materialising?
It's an unfortunate situation, but shit happens, they say, don't they? The positive of it is I'm here sitting in Sydney about to have a main event in a new arena the night before the UFC. So I took it on the chin. One man's mistake made my situation better. And I'm very grateful to be here and looking forward to putting on a show and being the main event, being the main man and entertaining the crowd February the 8th.
Yeah, positive thing to look forward, I guess, for sure, because we have a new title fight booked. Obviously, at that time when the fight didn't materialise, the emotions were running high, understandably so. A lot of things were said. You said that no one should fight Alden. He's old. He's missed weight quite severely. You were quite emotional and rightfully so. Have you sort of changed kind of the way that you sort of thought from then to kind of now, you still sort of think the same thing in terms of that? Like, what are your sort of thoughts, of what kind of went down and sort of to where we are now?
Well, I'm not going to badmouth the man anymore. Like, he has his head in the ground or whatever. Like, so, like, shit happens. I don't really know. Did he try trick everyone and show 4 kilos overweight, or was it a legitimate reason? I don't know. But that's in the past now. I moved on. Don't really care about him. Don't talk about him. Don't care if he fights again. I'm not a fan of him or nothing like so. So I'm on to better things, and I'm looking forward to facing this new opponent. His skill set, the fight would have been a one way. Like, his skills weren't great. Now I have an opponent with a well-rounded skill set that I'm looking forward to getting in the cage with and having a nice little battle to see who has the better skills. Like, like David Martinez is high caliber athlete, martial artist. He's training every day. He's a technician in his craft, and I'm looking forward to facing it. Like, so it's going to be a fun fight, February the 8th.
No, it's a very fascinating matchup. Obviously, David Martinez has been with Eternal MMA for a long time, a former lightweight champion, 2-time lightweight champion for Eternal MMA. So in terms of potential weight cutting issues, I mean, the only weight cutting issue that Dave Martinez had is getting down to lightweight. So I don't think we're going to hopefully have any severe misses or any misses whatsoever in terms of getting him to a fight, fighting at welterweight, man. But just not to harp on the events of what happened last time, but just curious on your emotions in terms of coming all the way from Ireland to a fight that never materialized, and then going back. You took the strap back home with you, of course, going back to Ireland. Like, did you have like a kind of a sense of like, in your mind, are you the champion in your mind? Do you kind of have this sense of unfulfillment kind of going back, flying so far across the other side of the world and then kind of going back home? It must be kind of like a weird, empty, bittersweet kind of feeling. What were the emotions traveling back to Ireland?
Yeah, like, I was sick. Like, come weigh-in day, thinking the man's about to show up. That we showed up. He jumped on the scales. I was thinking I'm about to go to war now within 24 hours. Refuel, put on a serious performance. Like, all the emotions were building up, but I didn't get to release any of the emotions in the cage. So kind of released them there and then. I was done. But with the belt situation, the welterweight division is a bit messed up at the moment. I was supposed to fight for an interim belt. The champ vacated the belt. So it's like I've been given a responsibility to become the man of the division, which I'm going to attempt to do. And being given the belt, like, it doesn't mean anything yet at the moment, but I'm planning on cementing myself as the welterweight champion on Saturday. Like, so, and having the belt at home has been a big motivator. I look at it every morning on the table. I know what my goal is. I know what I have to do. I have to make a statement now on Saturday, and that's the plan.
What was sort of the positives that came from that? I mean, a fight doesn't sort of come through, but you obviously go home, you sort of get yourself back into the gym. You sort of look at these sort of things and they're like, okay, a fight didn't kind of come about, but did you take it as sort of an opportunity to get back, grind, kind of level up? Do you feel like there's been any kind of tangible differences in your growth in that sort of time? And it's only been a sort of a few short months, but was it kind of a chance to go back in and sharpen the tools, go back unscathed, go back and sort of level up and come back into this title fight? Can you sort of look at it through that lens?
Yeah, like, I've travelled to the other side of the world. I defeated jet lag. I defeated my mind. I made weight. Like, a lot of positives came from the last one, and it's made me a better man, a better athlete. So it's a positive. It's a bad situation, but everything's been positive. I got to meet great people last time. The Luistro crowd, Romel, the lads in the gym, their manager Jasmine, beautiful lady. I've gotten on well now with Cam and Ben, back and forth chit-chatting since then. Like, it's all been positive on my side. So, like, I'm in a good position, and I'm a happy man, even though shit happened. Like, I took it on the chin, and now I'm here. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's mixed martial arts, right? It's not organised, football, cricket, or anything like that, where there's just a match on every weekend and people show up and that sort of thing. There's so many volatile, situations that kind of happen in this sport, and unfortunately got caught up in the whirlwind of part of that, but them's the break sometimes, man. But it's good to have you back. You did touch on something just there that was a really cool positive that came out of your time here last time in hooking up with the Luistro Combat Academy with Romel Luistro and guys like Quill and Soulkilled. I think we actually might have talked about this last time, but is that kind of a relationship that's continued? I don't know if you've caught back up with those guys, stayed in contact with them. I know you were training with them. What's sort of that dynamic between you and the Luistro family now?
Yeah, just through Instagram, replying back to the funny thing. Romel is always putting up on Instagram. He's a funny man. And then Quinlan as well. He's a funny character on Instagram. So I'm enjoying that. But I'm looking forward to meeting them. They're coming to Sydney now next week, and I'm going to meet up with the gang. Hopefully get a bit of training in with them, a bit of chit-chat, a bit of sightseeing, something with them. Like, they're friends for life now from that positive, that negative experience. Like, it's good. And then I'm going to meet new people over here. I've already been in a gym down the road called Legacy. Beautiful gym. I'm going to go to a new gym tonight and meet new people. I'm going to gym hop while I'm here. So I'm going to meet more new people out of all this experience. Like, networking, making contacts. Never know, I could become the champion now on Saturday, and then I could possibly move over to Australia, live a happy life in the sun, get away from that cold.
Yeah, would that be a real possibility for you? Would you consider moving out here full time?
Yeah, well, I'm getting older and I enjoy the sun, and I'm thinking about retirement as well. So, like, if I can put myself in a good position through this sport and this promotion, who knows?
I'll trade places with you, man. I hate the sun. So, you come and live here and I'll go to Ireland. I've never been, but...
House swap, will we?
Yeah, I'm sure there's been movies made about that. So we'll organise something like that. You ship over here, I'll go over there, and we'll see how things pan out. But
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it here in Australia, man. And the weather does look nice up there in Sydney. It's kind of like a bit of a neutral ground in Sydney. It's not too cold down here in Victoria like sometimes it can be. It's not all the way in far north Queensland where shit gets pretty fucked heat-wise up there. So Sydney is a nice place, man. How long have you only been here for a couple of days now, haven't you? When did you actually get in?
I arrived Monday night around 10 p.m.
Yeah.
The jet lag hit hard this time. The big difference from flying into Perth, and that was actually okay last time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said you were pretty okay last time, weren't you? Yeah. I
was grand last time, but I flew in Monday evening, and then the time difference, 3+ hours, plus 4 extra hours on the plane.
Yeah.
It's after taking a toll. So I'm kind of getting over that now.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, it does happen, man. So hopefully you've got yourself a good amount of time to kind of adjust. But you mentioned there, obviously, training at a couple of different gyms. Like, did you come over in mind to kind of set yourself up in like one sort of specific like home base in terms of training out of a gym, or are you just kind of finding what's available here and then just kind of, like sort of getting into whoever wants to take you in?
Friends back home that I've trained in boxing with, and like in jiu-jitsu, in MMA, they've all been reaching out to me. So I've been offered so many gyms to go to. So I'm actually heading down to a gym this evening. I can't think of the name now, but it has a cool recovery area and everything. I'm going to go down there, relax, get a nice session in. I think Drick is training down there at the moment as well, so I might get to meet him. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, cool. So, yeah, you never met him before?
No, I've never met him before, so it'd be cool to see him. Maybe get a few rounds with him. Who knows?
Yeah, he's a sought-after man. Actually, I had Quillan, speaking of Quillan Selkeld, on the podcast the other day. He's obviously making his UFC debut, and he said that one of his plans after he gets the win at the upcoming UFC card, he wants to find Dricus du Plessis and smoke a cigar with him. That's his number one kind of goal. So, yeah, the man looks like a lot of fun. Seen him on a lot of social media type stuff. So,
be a good drinking buddy, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah, he looks like a lot of fun on the beers, man. So, like, you can talk about networking, man. I mean, start networking those kind of people because they look like a good time. Yeah,
exactly. You heading to the UFC? Or are you in town?
I've got the best seat in my house. So this I'm going to be sitting there watching it on the TV. So like, I enjoy it from either perspective. I can enjoy the atmosphere when I go to a UFC event, but you're sitting far away from the cage kind of thing. Yeah. Obviously at home is a little bit different, but
I'm the exact same. I'd back home there'd be Bellator on all the time in the Tree Arena, and I'd rather be at home on the sofa chilling, watching it myself.
Yeah. You been to many UFC events?
No UFC events.
None at all.
No, never. But a friend again possibly has a ticket for me, so I could be going. Not 100% confirmed yet, but I could be going.
It's a good time. Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things where the atmosphere is unmatched, right? Like no matter where you're sitting, you can kind of get into it. And like the Australian cards I've been to, like they're just such a good time. Like, I mean, look, you're an Irishman. You know what the Irish fans are like and that sort of thing. Like I like to think we've got something kind of similar here because we're so far removed from everything else in America. Like it's just the crowds are just nuts, man. Like it's such a fucking good time. So
yeah, it's great. Like I was only in New York there before Christmas, and the people over there, they're just different. Like I'm not saying anything bad about them, but the Australian people, they're so cool, so laid back. Like it's straight. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Australian people. Like I like them.
Sometimes we're okay. Sometimes we can get a bit.
Yeah,
but that's the same anywhere, right? That's it, man. That's it. No, we're not too bad, overall. So, one thing I was going to mention too, there was popped up on social media and just sort of news in general recently that there was an announcement from another organisation, the GFL, announcing you as a signed fighter, announcing a lot of different fighters as signed fighters that are coming out and saying I haven't like officially signed on to anything yet, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. You seem to have been one of the athletes that's kind of got caught up into this. Curious in terms of your thoughts on what kind of went down there, like coming into fight for an Eternal MMA championship, but we've got another organization announcing you as a signed fighter. You put out on social media saying, "I'm fine. We're going ahead as normal. I'm fighting for the Eternal MMA championship." What's sort of your recollection of events in terms of how that kind of unfolded and how we got to where we are now?
Well, last year I was kind of, after my last fight, I won a title, and then it kind of went quiet on fights being offered, and I didn't know what was happening. And then I was kind of poking the coach, "Can you get me something?" Then he said, "Oh, here, this is happening." Sent me over a contract for the GFL. He said it's not promising, but like, here it is, good details in it, good payday. And then I was going to sign when I got it, but then a part of me said, "No, don't get involved in signing any paperwork, blah blah blah." And I'm glad I made that decision in the end, because later on, a few weeks later, I got offered the fight in Perth. So I had the contract, I got offered Perth, took the fight in Perth, and I just never signed the contract. And then they released that Instagram post, which they obviously thought I signed the contract when I got it, but nobody followed up on the paperwork. I'd imagine was the situation there.
Yeah, it was sort of strange because it didn't seem like a unique experience to yourself. Like, I just looking through Instagram and looking through a lot of the posts and that sort of thing, and a lot of people chiming in with different athletes saying how they're signed to this promotion, or athletes saying like, "No, I'm not. What's going on here?" So it was a little bit.
It was kind of crazy. I went to bed one evening and I woke up to drama on the phone. Like, it wasn't the worst drama, but I would hate to wake up to bad drama. You know?
It's never, look, I'm not going to pretend to be in your position, but I don't think I've ever woken up in the morning and looked at my phone and saw like fucking dozens of notifications and messages and thought, this is going to be a good thing. Like, the immediate thought is like, what's happening? You get suspicious.
Yeah, it's not nice.
It happens. Well, we're glad to have you here, man, because like we said, we missed out on having you here for a title fight last time, and to have you back here fighting against David Martinez at the top of this billing, it's very intriguing. It's a very intriguing matchup. We obviously talked about David Martinez at the top of the show, and just talking about what he kind of brings to the table, because this is a different matchup from a lot of different perspectives. This is a lightweight coming up to welterweight, albeit a lightweight that's been very much struggling to make lightweight. So this is definitely the move in terms of him coming up to fight for the strap. Of course, we mentioned he's a former two-time Eternal MMA lightweight champion, credential grappler. I'm sure you've had a look at David Martinez and sort of what he brings to the table. We've sort of had a small window in terms of what you're kind of about, and your striking pedigree and what you bring as far as your grappling and everything goes. I'm just curious in terms of how much have you had a look at David Martinez, how much you know about him, and kind of what you think he brings to the table and how this matchup's going to unfold.
There's a lot of footage on David on the UFC Fight Pass. He's had like 14 fights with Eternal now, is it?
Yeah, yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of footage on him. I watched them. He hasn't changed his style over any of his fights. I don't know if he's going to bring any new tricks. And I'm just I've sorry, the telly's just started to come on, but I mean, yeah, sorry, but I've done the study, and I'm applying things to my game that's going to shut David down, and not going to rush it. I'm just going to, I've lost thought now of the telly, but
just the ghosts in the apartment, mate. They're just like distracting. It happens, man.
Yeah. But I'm ready for what Dave's going to bring. Let's put it that way, because Dave's style is what I train every day of the week in SBG, and if I don't shut David down, I'll be disappointed. And I'm looking forward to showing my skill set. He's a perfect opponent for it. I have all the advantages against him. On paper, it looks good. It's great. It's a great matchup, in my opinion. David's trying to be a two-time champion. I'm trying to become the first Irish Eternal champion. So there's a lot on the line in this fight. I think it's a very good main event, and I hope the fans enjoy it, and I hope we put on a great show for the crowd.
It's a hell of a main event, man. Like, genuinely very excited for this one. Fascinating on so many different levels, a couple of which you just mentioned. Obviously, coming over from Ireland, we're seeing, quite a bit of transition internationally, fighters coming over and facing our guys here. It's creating a lot of cool networking opportunities. We're getting a look at some different international flavors and that sort of thing. It just adds so much to everything that's already going on here in Australia. And now you sort of being a big part of that. Obviously we just talked about, David and kind of what he brings to the table. for fans that aren't as familiar with you, or people that are just getting to know you and what Stephen Costello is all about, where is the danger for David Martinez? You talk about you have the advantages over him without sort of giving away, obviously, the game plan or anything like that, or necessarily making an official prediction. Where is the danger for David? Like, where do you think you really have the advantage?
I feel my biggest advantage is the element of surprise. There's not much footage on me. Any footage that is on me, it's only been a short amount because I haven't got to show what I can do. So I'd like to get the 5 rounds, like I said with Alden. I want to show what I can do, especially on UFC Fight Pass. I'm sure there's some big dogs watching, and if I can show what I can do, I'm pretty sure I'm going to impress these people.
It's obviously a big weekend because we have the UFC in town. It's the start of 2025, Eternal 92. You're obviously atop of that bill. Many opportunities that can potentially come from something like this with a win, like putting a very prestigious belt around your waist, such as the Eternal MMA Welterweight Championship. I've got to imagine that you visualize kind of a lot of what the future holds, especially because it is a fresh new year. It's the start of 2025. I know you wouldn't be looking to look too far past your opponent, David Martinez, but you get yourself a win. You put another win on the record. You put another belt around your waist. What do you think you're sort of setting yourself up for 2025, all things considered, with a title win at Eternal 92?
Being active as the champion for Eternal, that's what I would love. I'd love to come over here and bring the family over next time. Like, that's what I want. I'm in my prime. I'm the best I've ever been. I'm healthy. I'm ready to take the bull by the horns. I'm ready to give it my all now at this stage and do or die. No regrets. I'm all in, and that's, if Eternal want me to be a busy champion, I will be a busy champion.
It's great news to hear, man. I know Eternal like a busy champion, and like we said at the top of the show, it's great to have you back here for a second time for a main event against David Martinez on February 8th in Sydney, New South Wales. It's all going down. Huge stakes, massive card, pro fights top to bottom from the main card to the prelims, and it all goes down, of course, on UFC Fight Pass. So make sure you got yourself a subscription. Make sure you tune into this main event, and of course, get your tickets at eternalmma.com. And Stephen Costello, thank you very much for your time here, man. I know you've only been here for a short couple of days, and you're still acclimating to Sydney, New South Wales here in Australia. So I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. Appreciate you coming back on the pod for the second time, and all the best at Eternal 92, man. Hopefully for yourself, coming away with the shiny new belt and setting yourself up for a big 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I clear something up with a few people making a comment?
Please, you can. Go for it.
There's a few fans leaving comments saying, what's this world title thing all about? I'm a man travelling from Ireland about to fight for a belt. It's a world title to me. Do you know what I mean?
It's by definition, you're flying internationally. Like, that's what it is, yeah? Yep.
These idiots. So that's what I just wanted to clear up. And thank you very much to everyone that sponsors me and supports me. I love you all very much.
Stephen Costello, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate it.
Being joined today by one of the men set to feature in the co-main event slot for Eternal 92 in Sydney, New South Wales on February 8th when he takes on Taser Malone in defense of his Eternal MMA Featherweight Championship. I'm talking, of course, about freestyle MMA's own Sebastian Szalay. Back on the pod. Good to have him back here, brother. How are things with you, man, in the lead up to this one? Things trending well for you, and essentially what's going to be your first title defense since first capturing the belt in that epic Featherweight Grand Prix, man? How are things going with you?
Yeah, good, and thanks for having me back on again. And everything's been good, man. Same old training, business as usual. On to the next, defend the belt, and then on to the next after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just sort of life as usual, man. I don't think too much changes from you. I think just from our interactions, there's not a lot of kind of nuance in between fights for you. It's pretty much just train, fight. The last 5 months, can I assume it's been the same for you, essentially?
It's been the same pretty much, man. Just training and that. Had a few injuries. I actually was meant to fight earlier, but I had a few things that I just had to get on top of with my body. And then since then, yeah, pretty much just business as usual. Nothing else changes. Okay. Just train, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, sure. But on top of the injury stuff now?
Yep, all good. I'm back.
I'm
back. 100%.
I mean, I think it's sort of that old adage. I mean, not a lot of fighters really come into any fight with 100% clean bill of health, right? But there was obviously a few things that you really just had to get on top of.
100%, yeah, just like that. There's especially because with the Grand Prix, like it was that close together.
Yeah.
Like I had a week off and then I was back on, and then the weight cut, everything like that, and there was a few things that happened in my body. So yeah, just had to get on top of that. I got some staph infections, everything like that. So I was just dealing with that for a while. That stuff is just, a bit of a mess.
How common, like, I know you always hear about staph infections and that sort of thing with, all over, different levels of competition and that sort of thing from the gyms and that sort of stuff. Is this the first time you've had to deal with staph?
Nah, man.
It happens commonly more than you think,
yeah,
kind of thing.
It's quite common,
Okay.
It happens, especially when you're getting close to the fight. Like, the Dims fight, I actually got staph 2 weeks before, really bad. Like had a bad infection, and luckily it didn't happen on fight week because I got a bad staph infection on my knee and I actually couldn't walk for a week.
Damn.
So I was out. I was going to the hospital, the doctors, everything like that. I had to sort the infection out because like my immune system was obviously a bit crashed, and then my body was completely cooked, and then it was in my knee. I couldn't even walk, couldn't move. So I was dealing with that, 2 weeks out from my fight with Dimps. And luckily, it happened, best case scenario happened a little bit out like that.
Yeah.
Because I got on top of it, had the good people around me, medication, antibiotics, stuff like that. And then by got to fight week, I was actually clean. I was fine. I got it sorted on fight week, so I was very lucky. But look, it's part of the game. You see a lot of guys. That's usually the case when we're getting close to a fight. Your immune system's quite low, it's zapped, you're cutting weight, the training's hard. So you just got to be on top of all that stuff. Sometimes it just happens, but yeah, it's part of the game.
That particular case, bad enough in the lead up. I know you said it was a couple of weeks out, but was there any potential doubt in your mind? Like, oh shit, like this may not go ahead if this is bad enough?
It was like, it was one of those ones where it got like really bad. Where I was like, I couldn't even walk. I was struggling to walk, couldn't do much. But I was just like, we'll just see what happens. I'll just be a positive mindset, try, no negative mindset about it. Just like get onto it. What can we do to fix it? Let's go. It's going to be a part of it, and it makes the victory sweeter as well. Because if you can overcome little like obstacles like that, you always have obstacles in the way. You can just find ways around it, and then you're like, oh, the victory's sweeter anyways after, because you're like, okay, we got through that. It was all good. So, I just try and stay positive, and I get onto the situation straight away. I make the adjustments like I do with my fights. I just make adjustments, I get onto it, and then I just get going.
I love it, man. I mean, I think I've had enough interactions with you to know that, you've got a very one-track mind and, kind of a bulletproof mindset that it's just head down and kind of grind, and you'll get there one way or another. And you certainly did for this one, man. Because like you said, I mean, the Featherweight Grand Prix, I mean, 2 cards back-to-back, just an epic tournament that it was, and you come out on top with the Featherweight strap. Obviously, you faced Dim Skillies in the final of that fight. And just an absolutely epic matchup that started off with some fireworks, and then you really just kind of took over, especially towards the end of the fight. From my perspective, looked like one of, if not the most challenging fights in your career to date. Your assessment in terms of the challenge at Dim Sport to you, like right up there, most challenging fight you've had. Like where do you sort of rank that?
Yeah, it was a tough challenge. It was a good fight. It was it's what I expected though, to be honest, with a guy like him. I knew this was not going to be a bit of a cakewalk. I knew he was going to bring his game, and I knew he's tough. But it was a tough fight. But again, to be expected. Did all the work before it, all the game planning, strategies, everything like that, the preparation up to it. So it was not very surprising, but I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I knew, the victory would be there. Just got to be smart and approach the fight in a certain way. But I have a lot of respect for Dims. He's a tough guy, man, and he made me better. Like that those type of guys, they take you up those other levels like that. He was not an easy challenger, so it was a good fight to have in the finals.
No, it was a very fan-friendly fight, and I think we talked about that in kind of the lead-up. It wasn't ever going to be anything but, considering, you guys both so incredibly well-rounded with your stand-up game. My apologies, but just like 2 very, very different styles. You know what I mean?
Well, especially the first round when I got clipped, it caught me on top of the head. Like, that's the first time my fights were ever being clipped like that. So again, to be expected, it was going to be a tough fight. So he definitely. He was tough. I was still right at the end when I clipped him at the last 10 seconds. Oh, man, if I had a little bit more time, that would have been good to see what would happen to him then. But it was a really good fight, man, and good experience.
What was that sort of moment like? Incredible. I mean, because you're like, so far into your professional career now with a lot of incredible performances, a lot of incredible fights. And I mean, I say you've been to decision in so many of your fights just makes it kind of all the more insane that you're saying this is the first time you've really been dropped like that out of so much time already kind of spent in the cage.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How hurt were you? Like, was it a shock to the system kind of thing? Was it a moment of panic? Like, what was kind of, where was your mind at when that happened?
Yeah, look, honestly, with, again, we're leading into this fight. I knew from first round to second round, Dimps, because he's quite wild and he was going to go for the shots and he was going to start going. So I preempted myself in a sense where I was like, okay, I could get hit with a shot. So it is what it is. If you get hit with a shot, just try and make the adjustments. Don't panic. Do what you got to do, recover and keep going. Again, I just, it wasn't really sure. When it happened, it was just a flash knockdown. I got back up. I was fine. It wasn't even rocked. It was nothing. It was just like, okay, business as usual. Let's keep going. That's all it really was. It was just like, I didn't make a big deal of it as it needed to be. I was just like, okay, I kind of expected, but like I would expect a guy like Dims, he would bring it at the start. So I needed to make those reads and stuff. So it can happen. That's why I was like, there's no need to panic. Just make adapt to what's in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like expecting, like the book's out on Dimps in terms of what he's bringing to the table, right? I mean, everything is there 100%. On show, like right from even like just the moments before the opening round and you guys are in the cage kind of facing off against each other. You with your very typical stoic, unmoved, just concentrated look in your eye, and you look across the cage and there's Dimps pacing back and forth like an absolute wild man. Tongues out, the eyes are rolling around the back of his head. Like you're just like, what is this matchup kind of thing? Like it's so insane. Yeah. Like
that's cool.
Curious in terms of like you've seen already so much in your career already, and you would obviously know what Dimps is about already. But when you're sort of standing there in the cage and you're kind of looking across at that, like, is there anything kind of going in your mind like, holy shit, like this guy, or this kind of like, with all the facial expressions, that sort of thing going on, or is that the kind of thing that just by this point it doesn't faze you?
It doesn't faze me, man. Look, everyone was saying,
because it fazes the shit out of me personally. That's the reason why I asked. I'm fucking
out. A few people after my fight, they messaged me and they talked to me. They go, "What the hell? That guy's crazy." They're like, "Jesus!" And everyone's saying, "Look, I've got good preparation. For that fight particularly as well. I had Volk. He was really helping me out with that to prepare for that fight. So I was in good hands.
Partner to have, yeah."
Yeah, that's it. So I had good Volk in that, and I just knew what he was going to bring to the table, and I knew that my skills and my strategy, my game plan is better. So I just needed to be confident in what I'm doing and get the job done. So again, to me, it doesn't matter who's in front of me.
No, and it sets us up for a fight against Taser Malone at Eternal 92, man. But just to round up, finishing talking about that tournament, of course we had. Yep. Gabriel Schlupp was the man that you faced. Dimps Gillies, of course, faced against Oliver Schmidt, and that's how we ended up in that particular final. The tournament at large was back-to-backs with Eternal 86 and Eternal 87, like not even 2 months kind of apart. Challenging for all those guys involved. Obviously, you talked about dealing with injuries and sort of being straight back into the gym. The experience overall, I mean, you come out looking like $1 million because like you showed off like everything that you're about. Across essentially 8 rounds of fighting, like with those couple of guys. I actually can't remember if the fight was Gabriel. Was it 3 round, 5 round? I'm trying to remember.
3 round with
Gabriel.
Round,
yeah. So, but just incredible matchups. Would you do it all again? Present like a tournament like that? Like how are you sort of feeling in reflection to looking back at a tournament that was so close together?
Yeah, it was cool, man. Something different. It was good, a good experience, good to do. And it made the victory. It was better when you get the win at the end and you get the belt. It tastes better. So
like you've achieved so much. Like the belt's there and everything as well, but it's kind of like 100%. You've won a tournament and a belt. Like it's a cool thing.
That's it, man. Yeah, that's it. And that cheeky little 8 Gs there as well wasn't too bad.
That always helps.
That always helps. That's always nice. A little bit of a bonus on top. So it was good, man. It was a very good experience.
Well, like we said, Taser Malone is next, Eternal 92 in Sydney, February 8th. Just in terms of what you were thinking once you become the champion and who the potential challenges out there sort of might be. Taser Malone gets brought to you in terms of being sort of the next guys up. Was Taser someone that you had kind of on your radar? Was it a surprise in terms of who the opponent was? What were your initial thoughts when Taser's name sort of gets brought across your desk?
To be honest, I didn't know who they were going to give. I actually we were talking, it could have been an international opponent they were going to maybe bring in, but that didn't end up happening. And then the next one was Taser after that. So, yeah, look, it was just he got that win against Medina, and then he called it out. So I had a feeling. I was like, okay, he's on a bit of a win streak here. You know, he called it out. And once I didn't hear back from the international opponent before that, I was like, okay, it could be this guy. And then when they offered it, it was like, okay, yep, let's do it. So, yeah, it was good.
Taser, obviously, we talk about your last fights that you just had with Dim Skillies, Gabriel Schlupp. Taser Malone, obviously, a very different fighter again. Obviously, Taser's been with Eternal MMA for so long, so a lot of Eternal MMA fans be more than familiar with both of you guys because both of you guys have spent just the majority of your career here with Eternal MMA. So another fascinating matchup for like another couple of good reasons there in terms of, you know, style contrast in terms of a couple of guys that are Eternal, sort of born and bred.
Yes.
It seems so obvious, but just in your mind, like, is this a day and night different challenge facing a guy like Taser compared to, say, a guy like Dimps, given the style differential?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. You know, Taser, he brings obviously something different to it. You know, he's athletic, he's strong, you know, he's a good grappler, and he brings a little bit completely different to what Dimps brought to it, and a little bit of Gabriel as well. So, yeah, it should be an interesting matchup. It should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to showcase my skills on this fight.
I think for a guy like Taser, you know, because the biggest thing for Taser, for how Taser would certainly come across, how he sort of markets himself is, you know, the machine. Like, he's got the cardio and everything, and he sort of puts that pace on with the heavy grappling sort of style. Obviously, you just went 5 hard rounds with Dimp Skillies as well and showed off like your own kind of cardio and just how much you can kind of outlast. So, like, is that obviously you train every day and you train with some of the best in the world. You train with a guy like Volk, whose cardio is virtually unmatched. Like, in terms of going 5 hard rounds in your last fight and that sort of thing, and then matching up with a guy like Taser, that you're already quite confident you could kind of go a 5 hard rounds if need be. And
I am very confident. Yeah, very confident. You know, again, I went 5 rounds with Dimps, and then the people I train with, the preparation I have, and the hard work we put in here, and the hard work I put in, I'm very confident I can go 5 rounds, and I can keep up a pace. You know, especially this type of style I fight, and I can maintain that for 5 rounds. It'll be hard to match me. You know, so, and I feel like I'm only getting better. You know, those fights, especially the last 2 fights that I had, coming to where I am now, I've improved, and I'm ready to show that I'm another level as well. So, gas tank, no issue, especially at freestyle, as you may have heard, the type of training we do. So, yeah, I'm ready.
World famous, mate. Yeah, the conditioning and everything that goes on behind closed doors at Freestyle MMA is just unmatched from what I'm told and what I know of talking to guys like yourself. I don't think there's too many people I've talked to that train out of Freestyle MMA that don't have the gas tank. So it's certainly a weapon you got in your back.
You got Joe Lopez screaming at you as well. That gives you an extra kick up the ass as well.
Help.
So
that'll help. Yeah, I don't want to be the recipient of that, man. So no, shout out to Joe Lopez. But you know, we talk about the cardio being one thing, but obviously we've talked a lot. We've seen you fight, you know, numerous times now for Eternal MMA. The biggest thing we've always talked about is your unique skill set, what you bring to the table in terms of a very fan-friendly style, your blend of like poise, speed, power, especially with the hands. Like we talked about this last time, like not a lot of guys with your style in general, but not a lot of guys with that karate style that also have just that one punch knockout power that we've seen you have. When we look back at your fight against Joe Davis back, it was Eternal 78, a highlight reel knockout. Like, it's just such a crazy blend of all these very specific kind of skill sets. Putting that up against Taser Malone, and when we look at one of Taser's last fight that he had, his second to last fight, had a bit of trouble with a guy that was on pro debut in Ethan Mitchell. Did exploit what looks like some perceived potential holes in Taser's game, because he was able to touch him up, busted him up. Like, if you looked at just the optics after the fight, you'd know who won. Like, Taser was the guy that didn't look sort of too fresh if you sort of look at his face. I know you don't need any extra encouragement in terms of what you already bring to the table in terms of your skill set and your striking pedigree, but looking at a fight like that, does that just kind of give you even more kind of reinforcement that, hey, if a guy on debut can do this to a guy like Taser Malone, what's a guy like me going to be able to do it? You know what I mean? Like, that's got to give you that extra bit of confidence.
Look, 100%. And again, I just believe I'm another level, especially now. I feel like I've gotten even better. I'm confident. I'm ready. I want to show that I'm the next guy for UFC. So I'm going to go on this performance and I'm going to show that I am the next guy. And just wait and see, and you'll see.
What is the biggest difference? Last couple before I let you go, man. Just one loss in your pro career that you have to go back to February 2021, I believe it was. 6-fight winning streak in between then, now up until this point, capturing the featherweight title on the way, winning that the featherweight Grand Prix. Pardon me. Biggest difference between Seb Szalay, February 2021 versus Seb Szalay, back in February 2021 to Seb 2025. Biggest difference.
Biggest difference, man. Look, just the experience and having, again, coming over to somewhere like freestyle over here and, really putting yourself out of that comfort zone and getting better and improving and having that, having good people around you to keep pushing you. And, I just feel like I'm getting better and better each time, and I'm grateful for all the opportunities I get. And, just from where I started then, what I've learned from back then till now, world of difference. And, I'm just very happy.
Obviously, this is in New South Wales. You're originally from Western Australia, Perth, but now obviously training and residing in New South Wales. Nice to obviously be able to, I guess, drive to the event rather than have to fly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a lot closer. It's like the Joe Davis one. It's when it was last time here in Sydney. It makes it a little bit easier. You just cruise around. You don't have to fly around. You have to do any of that. So it's gonna be good. We're looking forward to it. Going to the UFC the next day as well.
Oh, you got tickets? We're going.
It's gonna be a very good. Yep. Yeah. It's gonna be a very good weekend. Some some good, interesting people are going to be coming down to Eternal, I'm assuming, as well to watch. So it's going to be a really good weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
That's it, man. I mean, that leads us into the last one before I let you go. I mean, you said recently, looking at your articles and everything that have been posted online in terms of where your career is heading, everything that we've talked about in the past. I mean, it's no secret where you kind of want to go. And I mean, you're on the main card in a co-main event slot for Eternal 92, and the weekend where the UFC is in town, you're going the next day. Like, it's a massive weekend for combat sports in Australia, but so much on the line, especially for someone like yourself who's the featherweight champion. You've made no secret that you want to defend your belt, you want to become the best featherweight in Australia, and then you want to go on to be a UFC champion.
Yes.
All of these things considered, you're setting yourself up for a massive 2025. In your mind, if you visualize it, what does the rest of your 2025 look like for you in a perfect world?
Defend my belt this one, see what happens after this opportunity, see what's going to happen. If I have to keep proving that I'm the best, then I'll just defend my belt and keep going. I'm just going to keep proving that I'm the best and I deserve the next opportunity, and I'll do what it takes. This is my time. I'm looking for a big year this year. I'm looking for a decent amount, a couple of fights, and it's going to be a good year.
Well, I don't think anyone's doubting your skill set or your pedigree, man, because like we said, you've shown so much so early in your career, both from an IQ standpoint, a skill standpoint, the ability to go through a tournament and just look absolutely perfect, coming out the other end of these fights and looking good, showing off so many different skills, so many different facets to your game. And like we said,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
What better way to show that off than on a weekend when the UFC is in town, man, right on top of Eternal 92. So all the best for that fight, brother. I'm absolutely looking forward to this. I don't think there's ever a time I'm not looking forward to a Sebastian Szalay fight because you always bring the heat, brother. So
thanks, man. I really appreciate it, bro.
All the best, man. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Thank you.